She loved talking about my career, but unmatched when I asked about hers. I'm David, 30, and this started the way a lot of modern dating stories do, with a swipe that felt a little more promising than usual. Sienna's profile immediately stood out. Not in a loud way, but in a polished, intentional way. One photo of her laughing on a whitewashed street in Santorini. Another of a perfectly plated meal at a restaurant I couldn't pronounce. A museum shot, softly lit, her looking away from the camera like she'd been caught mid-thought. Her bio was short but confident. Adventurer, connoisseur of good wine and better conversation. Here for spontaneous fun. It told me what she enjoyed, but not who she was. At the time, that felt intriguing, not suspicious. We matched, and the conversation took off almost immediately. From the first few messages, Sienna was impressive. Not just friendly, intentional. Curious. She asked smart questions and actually seemed interested in my answers. So what do you do for work? She asked early on. I told her I was a lawyer, keeping it light, not trying to sound like I was giving a resume. Her response came fast. A lawyer? That's so impressive. You must be incredibly smart. That felt good. I won't pretend it didn't. She followed up with more questions. What kind of law? What's the most fascinating case you've worked on? Do you love it, or is it just something you're good at? Before I knew it, I was talking about myself for most of the day. My job, my work hours, the parts one enjoyed, the parts that stressed me out. And she listened, or at least, she made me feel listened to. Every time I tried to flip the conversation back to her, though, something subtle happened. What about you? I asked at one point. What do you do? She answered, but never directly. Oh, I'm kind of between things right now, she said. Exploring my options. Then, almost immediately, she redirected. But what's the culture like at your firm? Do you ever think about switching paths? Her vagueness didn't feel defensive. It felt stylish, like she was choosing mystery on purpose. I told myself she was just independent. Free-spirited, not boxed in by labels. Still, after hours of talking about me, it started to feel a little one-sided. So later that night, I asked again, more clearly, but still casually. So what field were you in before you started exploring options? No accusation, no pressure, just curiosity. This time, there was no reply. Minutes passed, then an hour. I refreshed the app. Her profile was gone, unmatched. I stared at my phone, confused. Not angry, just thrown off. Did I say something wrong? Did I cross a line without realizing it? I replayed the message in my head. It seemed harmless, normal, even. I told myself it was probably a fluke. Maybe she was sensitive. Maybe she had a bad day. Maybe online dating was just weird like that. At the time, I didn't see it as a red flag. I saw it as a mystery that ended too quickly. And that, I would later realize, was the first lesson. About a week after Sienna disappeared, I had mostly written it off. Then one night, while scrolling on another dating app, her face appeared again. Same smile, same travel photos, same polished mystery, and this time, she messaged first. David, we matched before, right? My app totally glitched and deleted everything. I'm so glad I found you again. It sounded innocent, casual, almost lucky. I didn't question it. I felt chosen. We picked up right where we left off, like nothing awkward had happened. If anything, she seemed warmer this time, more eager. Texting is so hollow, she said quickly. Let's just get a drink and see if the chemistry is real. I liked that. It felt confident, decisive, like she knew what she wanted. So we met. The first date felt effortless. Sienna walked in dressed impeccably, not flashy, just perfectly put together. She made eye contact when I spoke, leaned in, asked thoughtful questions. She made me feel fascinating again. She talked about her life, but always in broad strokes. My family's in textiles back in Europe. I used to consult for boutique hotels for a bit. Everything sounded impressive, but somehow floated just above the surface. No details I could grab onto. No timeline, no specifics. I didn't push. I didn't want to ruin the mood. The chemistry, though, that was real. Strong, easy. She touched when she laughed. Held eye contact a beat longer than necessary. By the end of the night, the air between us felt charged. The second date came quickly. Then the third. By date 3, we were spending nights together. It felt intense, fast, like we were skipping steps. She was affectionate when it suited her, warm, close, magnetic. Then distant again once the moment passed. Still, I told myself this was passion. I ignored the pace. I ignored the gaps. I focused on how good it felt to be pulled in. And without realizing it, I was already attached, while still not knowing who Sienna really was. For a while, dating Sienna felt like stepping into someone else's life. Every date was somewhere trendy. Rooftop cafes, new restaurants with menus I had to squint at, weekend trips that felt more like magazine ads than real plans, scenic drives, etc. She always had ideas, she just never seemed to have her wallet. Oh no, I think I left it in my other bag. My card's acting weird again. The first few times, I didn't think twice. I paid happily. It felt chivalrous, like I was being generous, not used. Then the crises started. Her car broke down. It's going to be around $800, she said quietly, eyes glossy. Then her landlord suddenly became unbearable. I can't stay there anymore, David. I just need help with the deposit to get out. Then a family emergency, urgent, emotional, overseas. I hate asking, but I don't know who else to turn to. Each time, she looked vulnerable, almost ashamed, like it hurt her pride to ask. And each time, I stepped in. I told myself they were loans. Temporary help, something partners do. She always said she'd pay me back once things settled. They never did. Still, I stayed. One night, I introduced her to my friend Mark. He's blunt, the kind of guy who doesn't sugarcoat anything. During dinner, I noticed something I hadn't before. She asked me about my job, my condo, my travel plans. She didn't ask Mark a single thing. Later, when she went to the restroom, Mark leaned in. Bro, he said quietly. She's a pro. I laughed it off. No, seriously, he continued. She hasn't asked you one real question. It's all resources. I've seen this before. She's measuring you for a wallet. That pissed me off. You're just being cynical, I snapped. She's been through a lot. She's independent. She's just in a rough patch. I started listing her good qualities like a lawyer building a case. She's sophisticated. She's spontaneous. She's loving. When she feels safe. Mark just shook his head. And I ignored him, because walking away would mean admitting the fantasy wasn't real. And I wasn't ready for that yet. Once I noticed it, I couldn't unsee it. Sienna was always free. Weekdays, afternoons, random hours. She never rushed, never complained about work, never took a single call she had to step away for. Her stories started to blur together. One day she talked about consulting. Another day it was creative projects. Nothing had a schedule, nothing had a name. The stress built quietly. One night, she came over for dinner. I cooked. I paid for the groceries. We ate, laughed, drank. It felt warm, safe enough to finally say what had been sitting in my chest for weeks. Sienna, I said carefully, I really love spending time with you. But I feel like I don't know your day-to-day life. What do you actually do? I rushed to soften it. I don't care what it is. I just want to know you. Her face changed instantly. Her eyes filled with tears. I knew this would happen, she said, standing up. You're just like all the others. I froze. They only see my worth through my job title, she continued, voice shaking. I thought you were different, David. I tried to speak, but she grabbed her coat. I can't do this, she said, and walked out. I sat there alone, staring at the half-empty glasses, my heart pounding. I felt like I had done something cruel. Like I had crossed a line I didn't know existed. 20 minutes later, my phone buzzed. I'm sorry, she texted. I overreacted. She came back. She sat close. She touched my arm. Her voice was soft now. My ex used my career against me, she said. It really messed me up. Then she offered answers, but not answers. I'm an artist. I'm writing a book. I'm building a lifestyle brand. Big ideas. No details. Nothing you could ask follow-up questions about without sounding like a villain. I nodded. I reassured her. I dropped the subject. And just like that, the question disappeared. Not because it was answered, but because it was successfully shut down. The truth didn't come all at once. It leaked out. One night, Sienna's phone lit up on the table while she was in the bathroom. Just a flash, a familiar app icon, another dating app. When I asked her about it, she didn't even blink. Oh, that, she said casually. Old account. I forgot to delete it. I wanted to believe her. I almost did, but something in me finally shifted. Not anger, curiosity. So I did something I had never done before. I searched her online. Nothing deep. A few keywords. And then I found it. A profile. Different name. Same face. Same smile. Same Santorini photo. A sugar baby site. The bio was blunt in a way she never was with me. Seeking a generous, successful gentleman to help cultivate a luxurious lifestyle. My stomach dropped. Scrolling felt like falling downstairs. The language, the expectations, the promises of companionship and chemistry in exchange for support. Suddenly, everything made sense. The expensive restaurants, the wallet always forgotten, the endless crises, the vague career. A few days later, it got worse. I noticed receipts in her bag, items I had paid for, then refunded in cash later. Another time, at a party, someone pulled me aside. "Oh, you're dating Sienna," he said. "Yeah, she was with my uncle for a bit. Super rich guy." It ended when he stopped paying. There was no way to unsee it now. So I confronted her. I showed her the profile. She didn't cry. She didn't deny it. Her face changed completely. The softness disappeared. The warmth drained out. What was left was calm, sharp, almost bored. "So," she said, "it's a transaction." I stared at her. "You got companionship," she continued. "I got experiences. Don't act shocked." That was the moment I realized something terrifying. The woman I thought I knew never existed. She wasn't confused. She wasn't wounded. She wasn't finding herself. She knew exactly what she was doing. And I had never been her partner. I was just another one. When it was over, I did what I always do when something collapses. I audited it: trips, dinners, short-term loans, emergency flights, hotel weekends, cash transfers I'd convinced myself were temporary. I opened my notes app and started listing everything. I stopped halfway through because the number was already sickening. It wasn't just the money. It was the realization that I had paid for a version of intimacy I thought was mutual. For a brief, delusional moment, the lawyer part of my brain kicked in. I wondered about small claims court, about misrepresentation, about fraud. Then reality set in. There were no contracts, no paper trails that mattered, no promises she hadn't technically broken. In the eyes of the law, I hadn't been robbed. I'd been generous. The only case here was against my own judgment. Telling Mark was harder than the breakup. I expected an "I told you so." I deserved it. Instead, he just listened. Then he said something that surprised me. "You wanted to see the best in someone," he said. "She weaponized that. That doesn't make you stupid. It makes her a con artist." That sentence stayed with me. Because it reframed everything. I wasn't wrong for being kind. I was wrong for ignoring patterns. In therapy, the dots finally connected. I liked being needed. I liked being the stable one. I liked the feeling of being chosen for what I could provide. And she sensed that instantly. Not consciously, maybe, but instinctively. I didn't fall for her looks or her stories. I fell for the role she let me play. The provider, the rescuer, the man who could fix things. And once I understood that, the shame started to loosen its grip. Because the real lesson wasn't, "Don't trust anyone." It was this: if someone's life only works when you're paying for it, you're not in a relationship. You're in a business arrangement you never agreed to. After everything settled, I did something small that felt strangely serious. I made a list. Not a bitter one, not an angry one, just clear, vague about work. Next. Never reaches for the bill. Next. Rushes intimacy before trust. Next. Stories that shift when you look too closely. Next. It wasn't about becoming colder. It was about becoming harder to confuse. A few weeks later, I went on another date. Her name was Anna. She was a teacher. She talked openly about her classroom, about the kids who drove her crazy and the ones she worried about. She mentioned her student loans without embarrassment. She laughed about packing leftovers for lunch. She asked me what my workdays were actually like, not just what sounded impressive. There was no mystery, no performance, no feeling that I had to earn my place. And at first, I mistook that for boredom. Then it hit me. This is what real looks like. It's not a fantasy you buy into. It's not a story you have to decode. It's just a person, standing where they actually are. Later that night, I opened my dating app to update my profile. I paused at the job section. For years, I'd wondered if writing, lawyer, made people judge me. If it attracted the wrong attention. If it set expectations I didn't want. This time, I typed it in without hesitation. Let it be a filter, I thought. Let the right ones lean in. And let the ones who were never here for me unmatch themselves.